So my last two webinars that I want to do here in this first part of 2016 are on a little bit more detail about navigating grant funding websites and then navigating venture capital or angel investor websites. So starting out with the grant websites, I am blown away by how much grant money there is out there from federal, state, local governments, from not-for-profit organizations, which basically is public money that's available either as some small part of your taxes or by bonds that were authorized to be issued by the relevant government entity, and then people buy these bonds. The government actually, your taxes pay a certain amount of interest on the bonds, and the bonds the principal on the bonds gets repaid by basically increased tax revenues from businesses that, or from whatever other activity the bonds are supposed to be investing in, encouraging. In general, governments sometimes take out a bunch of loans, which if you're a government, it's called a bond, and then you use that loan money to generate growth in the society, whether it's in encouraging more people to get jobs or in helping to start more businesses in a certain sector, and the increased individual and corporate tax revenues that come in from that increase in society, or the building of more businesses, more jobs, then pays back the bonds and the interest. So in a big picture level, there's a lot of tax money, there's a lot of bond money, and there's also a lot of charitable donation money, both from corporations and from individuals, which is available for businesses. And these grants are all for specific purposes, but a lot of times, if your business is, growing revenues in Kern County, and you're eventually going to hire people, then even though you may be thinking about the business in terms of achieving your dreams and increasing your personal wealth, by creating jobs and hiring other people, you're actually supporting the goals of Kern County's economic development plans. So there's grant money available for these things because you are supporting the goals that one or the other government or charitable organization had. So there is a lot of money out there for grants, and I really recommend for everyone to not turn your nose up at it and really go out and look for what kind of grant money you can find. So I want to start just by a couple of examples here on the kinds of grants that you may not have realized initially are relevant, but really are. So if we go to the Grants.gov website, this SBA one is a nice description in general of all kinds of different grant sources. I'm going to use Grants.gov, which is basically a clearinghouse for all U.S. federal government grants. If we open that link and wait while my software, well, I have too many apps open on my laptop, so it takes a while to open things. We'll let that process for a second. There we go. So this is the Grants.gov website. And you'll notice there's new opportunities that are listed here. You can browse categories, you can browse agencies, you can browse by eligibility criteria. There's all kinds of resources up here. You could spend days, weeks, you could probably spend a whole year navigating this site and learning more and more about grants, all of which is in one way or another going to help your business in the long run. But just a little bit of specific searching that I want to point out today. If we go to browse categories, you'll notice that these grants are listed by different categorical areas. So there's agriculture, business and commerce, employment, labor and training. So one of the obvious things to click on is business and commerce. We're trying to find money for small businesses. There's the word business in there. That should help, right? So if we click on there, there's various grants, 18 of them, or excuse me, 11, that are in some way related to this. So they're all listed here. We can search and further narrow down the results, but since there's only 11, we don't really need to do all that all that much sorting. You'll also notice here, however, that there are 11 posted grants. There are 19 that are closed and 287 that are archived. These are all business and commerce grants. The only ones that are actively soliciting applications right now are these 11, but there's another 300 plus that are archived, and a lot of these grants recur periodically. So I would recommend, after you've taken a look at the things that are, oops, my TV just turned on. I've been pausing a show there, and it just turned on. So let's turn that off so the rest of the webinar works okay. So the once you've gotten done taking a look at the grants which are immediate and open, you can go back and actually look at the closed and archived ones as well, and notice that some of these things come out once a year or whatever, so you can kind of plan for the future of your business for grants that you're going to apply for in the future that aren't available right now. But just because it's archived doesn't mean that next this coming September there may not be $1 million grant available for economic development in Kern County. It's just that because of the nature of the state or the county budget, that grant only comes out once a year, and it's in September. So you should also look at closed and archived. I'll just highlight this here, and you'll notice my results have now gone up a lot. If I take the posted out, these are just the ones that are from the past. Let's go back to the posted ones quick and just start looking. State Trade and Export Promotion Program. So from the title, it sounds like that has something to do with the state of California, trading and exporting things somewhere else. So let's read here. Synopsis of the grant. So you'll notice here there's all kinds of a basic description here below. The type of a grant, the category that it goes into, business and commerce. Some interesting things over here on the right side. Closing date. So this is basically the deadline that you have to submit applications by. It's March 17th. Excuse me. The opportunity is going to go down from the posted opportunities and into the archived opportunities as of April 16th. There's $18 million of total money available, and the maximum amount that any one organization can apply for is $850,000. The minimum amount is $100,000. So if we scroll down a little bit further here, eligibility state governments. So basically this means that the state government has to be the lead organization applying for this money. So if we get down here, there's a little bit of description. The purposes of this program is to invite proposals for funding from eligible state entities interested in capable and providing assistance and guidance to small businesses, and how they export their products, basically. So even though our small business is not a state government, we are part of the state of California, and although our society far too often these days is not aware of how the government works and who our actual elected representatives are, we have local representatives of the state California Assembly who represent Bakersfield. We have state senators. There's offices of state government administration for whether it's the Secretary of State or the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, the State Department of Commerce. They all have offices here locally in Bakersfield, and for that matter, California State University Bakersfield is an organization of the California state government. So there's lots of ways that if we partnered with the State Office of Commerce, for example, here in Bakersfield, or we talk to one of our state congressional representatives, or if Cal State as an institution were officially part of the application process, that small businesses who are associated with that organization could also get in on this grant funding. So just because it doesn't say individuals or small businesses, don't necessarily think that you can't access this money. You just have to access it as part of a broader coalition or team. But there's a lot of money to be had if you're willing to cooperate and understand how the various organizations surrounding you work. So this is one example of a grant which initially is not for small businesses. It is for business, but again, I just explained how we as Cal State class could actually coordinate with the provost, with the dean of the College of Business and Public Administration, with the provost, with the president, with our elected representatives to put together or get on to probably someone in town is already trying to apply for this money, and we just need to get on to their applications. So sometimes it has to be part of a broader team, but many of the grants in here are accessible in some way if you cooperate with another organization. One other thing I wanted to point out about these grants, if we go back to the categories, you'll notice not all of them say business, but there's agriculture. If we just click there are a bunch of agricultural businesses in Kern County. We all know this. So even though you may not be starting a farm or a agricultural products company or whatever, your customers, if you have customers for almost any business in Kern County, they're going to be associated with the agriculture industry in some way. So if we just start going through things, this is not a request for application, so this one be interesting to read, but it looks from the title like it may not be something immediately relevant. So let's go to the next one. Cooperative Agreement Program to enhance and strengthen antibiotic resistance surveillance in retail food specimens. So this looks pretty specific. Let's see if there's anything that might be relevant for us. So if we go down here, eligible applicants, private institutions of higher education. Well, we're a public one. So state governments, that's kind of us as the state government, county governments, nonprofits, public housing authorities, district and city governments, independent school districts, others. See text field entitled Additional Information on Eligibility. Foreign institutions, non-domestic components of U.S. organizations, not eligible. So basically it looks like even though it looks like we couldn't apply as a business directly, but if we are a business and we associate with the city of Kern, or the city of Bakersfield, or with Kern County, or with a not-for-profit, so for example, the one that everybody's familiar with is Goodwill. If we were to bring Goodwill in as a partner on the application, then we could access this. And let's take a look at what it is. So, or perhaps more relevant because it's about food safety, is maybe Kaiser Permanente or Adventist Health, which are also large not-for-profit organizations, but they're healthcare focused. This funding opportunity announcement by the FDA, Center for Veterinary Medicine, National Action Plan to Combat Antibiotic Resistance Threats. Purpose of this is to protect and promote public health by enhancing, strengthening, and sustaining antibiotic resistance surveillance in retail food specimens. So basically, without getting into all the details, this is grant money to monitor whether the food in the grocery stores around Bakersfield is contaminated with any kind of resistant microbes. So somebody's got to go out and do that testing. So if you had a company that basically does delivery services, or a company that does basic maintenance service, all kinds of manual type things, you might actually be able to train your employees to have knowledge of how to do inspections of food. It's probably not that hard to do, but you need a team of people to go out and do it. You could cooperate with Adventist Health, for example, because they want to see a decrease in the amount of food poisoning cases that they get in their hospital. And your organization is able to go out and check the food around various supermarkets. So, maybe you get $100,000 to do that. You'll notice here that in this case, the award ceiling is $160,000. There's no floor, so you could get an award for as little as $1,000, but looks like most of them are in the 5 or 6 figure range. And your organization could develop some extra business by expanding to do inspections of food in restaurant in supermarkets or restaurants. So a lot of these grants are in one way or another accessible, just because the title doesn't originally say, I am looking for a small business that operates a truck delivery service in Bakersfield. Just because the title doesn't say that doesn't mean that it might not be useful for you. You have to kind of read and think about what other organizations you could partner with. So that's the basic thing that I wanted to say about the grants website here. The last thing I'll mention is that California.gov/grants is exactly the same type of website, except this is for grants from the state of California's government rather than from the U.S. federal government. And then if you look here, GrantWatch, I've listed California, so it just focuses on opportunities in California, but you could go to grantwatch.com. This is actually a website that lists grants and money that's available for nonprofits. So, larger non-for-profits like the March of Dimes, the United Way, for that matter, Adventist Health, they all have a certain amount of money that they've, collected from their donors that is invested in new projects. So sometimes non-for-profit organizations also have money available that small businesses can access. So similar process of looking through things, but I want to point you that it's not just U.S. federal government grants. There's state government grants. There's not-for-profit grants. I don't have it listed here, but there are also international, global not-for-profit organizations or organizations like the UN that also offer grants. So lots of useful funding opportunities out there if you're willing to expand your thinking a little bit, cooperate with other government or nonprofit organizations, and look at how your business activities can also advance the goals that the government and not-for-profits have for making the world a better place. So that's what I have to say about grants.